Hey everybody, it's John from the Gloucester Library, and for today's Let's Draw, in celebration of Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you, we're going to draw the child, aka Baby Yoda. Alright, so I'm going to start with Baby Yoda's head, and his head is kind of like a rounded rectangle type shape, and try to leave yourself enough space for his ears. So you're going to need about 3 heads wide across, because he got an ear, and then like his head, and then his other ear. It's about 3 of the middle of his head wide, so try to keep that in mind when you're drawing. And I'm going to draw the outline of Baby Yoda's head first. So let's see, go on the bottom. Here we go. And to the top. All right. And you see how I have a little bump I put there for Baby Yoda's chin. A little chin there. All right, and then I'm going to draw Baby Yoda's ears. Seeing how they're about as wide as Baby Yoda's head. There we go. And I'm going to kind of, I know you can't do this on your paper at home, but I'm going to move Baby Yoda's head just a little bit more in the center of my picture here, so you can see everything. And now I'm going to draw the clothing that Baby Yoda wears. So I'm going to start with what looks like a collar. And it comes out kind of far, about this far, and then has a little part that comes up there, and then it comes out the other side just as far. There we go. So this would be like the part where I guess it closes over on itself, and probably like a button is hidden underneath there or something to keep it together. Now I'm going to draw like a little line going to the head right there, and the same thing on this side, just to show where, the fold is, it's folded and curves back behind them. All right, and then I'm going to draw the part of his clothes that's covering his body, and they come in a little bit, so leave some space here. It's going to be about like right here and right here that they come down, and then they go outward. They go outward a bit, and then down to the bottom. See if you can curve your bottom a little bit, like right here. Oops. Try doing something. There we go. And there we go. It's got a little shape like that, kind of like a almost like a bell shape right there. And then that leaves us room for his little sleeves to come down. And they'll come down about halfway. Same thing over here. I have it come down about halfway. And then it looks like there's little cuffs on there. So kind of how this collar part wraps around, there'll be like a little cuff on each arm that also wraps around. And you see I started above, so it looks like it's kind of wrapped around the back of each sleeve. And now his little sleeves and cuffs are covering up most of his arm. You can't see his hands very well with them at his sides, but you can still see his fingers. And he has 2 fingers and a thumb. So we're just going to draw the 2 fingers that would poke out probably from the bottom. Just like that. We can't see his little feet at all because they're covered up by his clothes. Alright, now what I'm going to do, now that we got the shape of Baby Yoda on our picture, I'm going to go in and do the details. So now I'm going to kind of zoom in so you can see all the little details that I'm doing. So I'm going to start with his face. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see his face. I'm going to do his eyes, and he has very big eyes that take up a lot of space on his face. They're almost in the middle of his face. So let me draw one so you can see about how much room you need to leave. There we go. So see how big his eyes are. Let me do the other one here. They're kind of like little lemon type shapes there for his eyes. And I'm going to draw like some of the, well, let's do his little nose next. Got a very tiny little nose that sits in the middle here. So I'm doing just a little nose shape there. And a lot of times he kind of has a little bit of a frown, but I'm going to give this Baby Yoda just a little bit of a smile here. There we go. And now I'm going to put in, he does have a pupil and an iris that show up, but a lot of the scenes are so dark in the Mandalorian TV show that they're really hard to see. So I'm just going to do the hints of a circle in each for like where the iris would be. And I'm not going to draw in the pupils at all. I'm going to draw in 2 like little shine shapes, like an oval and a circle, just to show like where the light's reflecting in his eyes. And I'm not going to draw like the details in there. I'm going to fill that in with black later. And now I'm going to add some like little face details that he has, like the way like his wrinkles are up here. He has like little wrinkles there. And you don't have to go too crazy with these parts if you don't want. You can keep his nice little cute face with no wrinkles if you want. But I'm just doing like some of the stuff that you know, you see in his face. Some wrinkles around his eyes there and the shapes that they make. And a few wrinkles up on top of his head. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect. And do like, it's like some wrinkles under his eyes. One's around his little smile here. Little smile lines. There we go. For his chin. Do this, shows like little chubby cheeks there. And I'll do like a little bit of detail line on his nose. There we go. Alright. And now I'm going to move on to Baby Yoda's ears. So there's like a little line that comes up like this. And then a line that goes all the way along the top there, curves down. Then another little line that comes down like this. And a line that follows and meets on the inside of the top line. Now let's do the same thing on the other side here for this ear. Go in like this. Go along the top. Come down some. A little curve like this. Go along the bottom. Have it meet in there. There we go. So we got a little ears, details in the ears of Baby Yoda. We can also go back in and do some of the little hairs on his head. He's got little fine hairs. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, because it's kind of tedious, but I'm just going to do a few. Just little hairs on top of his head, just to show the little fuzzy hairs he has on there. He has some on his ears too. You just do is much as you want. You can make, maybe if you're using a pencil, experiment and see what it looks like. And if you don't like it, you can go back and erase it. There we go. So you have some little fuzzy hair on top there. Now I'm going to draw a little bit of the detail on his clothes. So he also has on his clothes a little part, right down here, a line that comes all the way down. I kind of made it wavy at the bottom to make it look like there's wrinkles in it. And that looks like the part on the collar here where his clothes probably fold up. There might be some buttons or something hidden under there keeping it together. And I'm going to do some more wrinkles, like some wrinkles here to show where it's kind of crinkled up, where his arms are bending and sitting at his sides. Maybe like a few little wrinkles at the top here to show where the cloth is kind of bunched up where it meets the collar. And just a few little wrinkles here, kind of to show like the shape of his body, and to show where it's wrinkling at the bottom here, where it's resting on the ground. There we go. And if you want, you can go in and add some, like, if you want to, it can be tedious, but you can go in and add like little stitch lines where, the clothing has been stitched up. So little dashed lines along the edges of a lot of the spots that you can see here. And we'll put them like on the collar and the sleeves. Maybe do some here along where the clothes fold over. And even one on the other side here for where it had been sewn up. There we go. All right. Now you can go back in and color it and shade it in, and whatever you like to do with it. I'm going to give him his usual colors, where his head's green and kind of orange on the inside of his ears, and then a brown clothing. I might go back in here and do little bits of shading too, like, for like the shadows, you can go back in and kind of shade in here. There we go. So you can see how it makes it look like where it's meeting with his head, it's kind of casting a shadow. And you can do that anywhere where there would be shadows, like say, right underneath his head. Maybe make the line thicker to show that his head is extending past his clothes just a little bit and casting a shadow. And maybe down here on his sleeves, as they come into the body, casting a little shadow there. Same on this one. There we go. All right, and you can have like a little shadow go all the way across here where this like collar part casts a shadow. There we go. Just enough to show that there's a shadow, give it a little, depth there. All right, and you can do maybe just a little bit on some of these wrinkles, the insides of them. Give them a little bit of depth there as well. And his fingers. There we go. I'll do the same thing over here. Just a little bit of shadow on the wrinkles. Where it comes up there. A little bit here. His fingers. There we go. All right. I might go back in here and color in his eyes and maybe do some shadows on his ears as well. Make that line a little bit thicker. There we go. Come down here, make that a little bit thicker for a shadow. All right, same thing over here. Make it thicker. Cast those shadows. So that can add a lot of depth to your picture if you make some parts of it dark where some parts hang over others and make shadows. There we go. And I'm just going to go back in and darken in his eyes, and then I'll color it in and it'll be done. I'll make my pen a little bit bigger. You can do that. You can kind of cheat a little bit if you're drawing on a computer or an iPad. You can, instead of having a whole bunch of different materials to work with, like thin line pens and thicker line pens and markers, you can kind of get all those things in one place on here. All right, so there we go. We've got our baby Yoda. I'd like to see if you try this out at home, and you could possibly take a picture and share it in the comments below. That'd be great. Love to see what you come up with. And may the 4th be with you. Bye.